Yar! Welcome to Rule of Carnage. This is a podcast where Glenn, a games designer, will be telling me, Mike, another games designer, about how he's designing a better miniatures game, or in fact, designing a miniatures game that he already designed, but doing it better this time. It's a piratey miniatures game, which is exciting because pirates are exciting, but it's also one of those Glenn Ford designs where Glenn Ford said, look at all those pirate miniature games. None of those things do the piratey game thing. So Glenn, tell us a bit about Pitch and Yaw.
Pitch and Yaw, which is a name that you hate, and I'm willing to sort of.
I mean, I don't hate it. I just don't think it's good enough. I think you can do better. I mean, it should be called Pitch and Yaw, for example.
Pitch and Yaw. So ages ago, there's a TV show called Black Sails, which is a really, really cool pirate TV show, and if you like piratey things, you should go watch it. And I really, really like piratey things. It's one of those things where whenever I see a game with a pirate theme, for some reason I pick it up. I possibly because of Sid Meier's Pirates, which had a formative effect on me at an early age. And so
also Glenn lives quite near the sea.
Also, yes, I live very near the sea, but I live near the world of smugglers rather than pirates. So anyway, in the first episode of Black Sails, there is a prolonged battle sequence, which is incredibly savage and brutal. And one of the things that defines it is that people just get taken out by like swinging yard arms or falling debris, and like the best fighter is coming along. He's obviously a real badass, and then he just gets turned into red mist by something smashing him into oblivion. And also there was a PS2 game, I want to say it was called Cold Water, and that had, so it was a survival horror game, but it was set on a tanker at sea, and there were parts of the game where you were outside and like waves would come over the edge of the ship and you could get pulled off the edge of the ship, and so the things that were attacking you were nasty, but way nasty was if you were focused on them and then like a shipping container just came from the side and just paffed you into oblivion. And so what I wanted to do at that point was design a pirate boarding action based game that was incredibly brutal. First of all, like you get stabbed with a cutlass or shot with a flintlock pistol, you're dead because you are dead at that point. And also that simulated the fact that you were having a frantic, desperate fight on a surface that is pitching and yawing, that is swinging from side to side, at possibly a quite precipitous angle, and where various unnailed down objects and then come swinging across the deck and possibly smash into oblivion. And so I wrote this game quite a while ago, and I knocked it around pitching for a little while, and it didn't go anywhere. So it went into the ideas to sit in a folder. And recently, I've been kicking around the idea of finally just like kickstarting some tabletop miniatures games of my own. And I felt like this was a good one to put out to the public. It has sort of a lot of hooks that can attract people. So I pulled it back out the folder, and I'll be going back for it and fixing it. And so there's a bunch of things I've been fixing in it. First of all, the original design was way too fiddly and complex, annoyingly fiddly and complex. And complexity is a bug, not a feature, and simpler is better. And I want this to be a fun, punchy game. I don't even understand the idea of not wanting something to be a fun, punchy game at this point. And so I want it to be fun and punchy, and also savagely brutal games have a very specific interest point. There is something very unenjoyable about just somebody running up and shivving you in the back of the head and you're just dead. And what I realized about Pitch and Yaw is that it's not Black Sails, it's Pirates of the Caribbean. And not like Pirates of the Caribbean per se, but that genre of Saturday morning serial, old school pirate adventures where there's no blood. You never see
It's more like pratfall piracy.
Well, people get smashed clean off a ship.
Yeah, right. They end up in the drink.
Definitely has shattered every bone in their body, and they never get seen again. So they're definitely dead. They're definitely dead in an agonizing, unpleasant way. But you don't see any blood, and you know it's the A-team version of violence. And so the game isn't about people getting stabbed and shot, and in fact stabbing people and shooting them literally never kills them. It's about when you get hit like by a swinging in heavy object, you're immediately removed, and if you go overboard you're immediately removed, but nothing else kills you. And it's about making, so you have to do certain objectives. You have to go around the ship, and you have to, because you're boarding, and you're going to get whatever the manifest from this ship back onto your ship. So you've got to go on, and you've got to search certain parts of the ship while the other person defends against you. So it's more about shoving people out of the way of the thing that you've got to search, and in return the violence is much more about setting up a chain of events where I shove you in this direction, somebody else shoves like a shipping crate in the other direction, so you line up like that, and then the ship pitches and the shipping container goes and just obliterates you. And that's how I kill you if I take you out, because that's, to my mind.
Do you see it a bit more as like a sort of physics puzzle, and do things like collide and knock each other on? Is there like chain reactions of physics in it?
So heavier objects can like path straight through something, and if something's on the far side of the ship, when it tips it'll move further than things that are on the close side of the ship. So you can sort of chain slide several spaces, like if you're up here, whereas you'll only move like a relatively small amount down there.
And do you know in advance what the pitch or the yaw of the ship will be?
There's basically a bidding system, so you'll have to bid for the right to control which direction the pitch or yaw is going to go in, and if you draw the bid, essentially it goes randomly and very big in one sort of direction. So you can, so one of the things, again, we've talked a few times on Rule of Carnage about having characterful random number generation and events, like you know, if you're doing a Western, you should totally consider having playing cards as your random number generation. So in Pitch and Yaw, there is a round of liar's dice at the start of a round, just a sort of short little one. And the point is that the dice you have in the liar's dice, after that round, you can use to replace dice that you've rolled through the game. So it's a little control hand, and when it comes to the end of the round and the ship's about to pitch, any dice you have left in your liar's dice cup, you can put that in, one of those in, as your bid to control the pitch and yaw phase. So you have the option to sort of hold back on these big dice because you really want to control that moment and have the ship pitch in the right direction, or you can choose to put those big numbers in to make sure that you achieve goals during the actual turn.
Yeah, it's lovely mechanic.
I'm happy because it's very I think it's very characterful, it's very piratey, and it allows you to have sort of control and prediction in a dice-based game, and it gives you
that moment of reveal where it's like, haha, I did have the 6. Oh, I can't believe you had a third 6.
Anything that lets people bluff and read each other very specific, like, it's not enough to let people bluff and read each other and then nobody know that you've been bluffing or reading each other. I want a game to go, right, here's the moment that you show in their face that you were bluffing or reading them. This is a bit of a tangent. One of the things I least like about Magic the Gathering is at the end of a game of Magic the Gathering, you've got to stop and go, right, no, now I need to explain to you exactly why you don't know all the clever things that were happening because you didn't see my cards. I've got to explain to you what happened was as cool as it was. A game should give you moments, I think, in the middle of the game that show you how cool what is happening is as it's going on.
And so have you got strong enough ways for players to bait the high numbers out of each other's liar's dice cups?
Well, I think one of the things I like about the idea of liar's dice is that it can make a really, really bad dice roll can be a very, very good liar's dice roll. Because if you have 5 wands in liar's dice,
so you can keep any number of dice and then reveal whatever you've left and be like, it's 3 ones.
So we have a round of liar's dice, and if I win the liar's dice in a way that you ask me to reveal my liar's dice, I then get to make my stored dice better. So it means that if I have 5 wands and I can win the liar's dice and get you to call me out on my ridiculous bid of like 4 wands or something, I can make those wands some of those wands into 6s. So the liar's dice is a little way of having you pre-roll dice and make terrible rolls potentially very, very powerful rolls.
Which is a cool reaction to the problem that we found during A Billion Suns, where we realized that when you create a battle board situation like in Saga or the Warhammer Quest games, but in a competitive environment, like rolling a bunch of junk is actually a really painful experience because the other player potentially just wins the round because they didn't roll enough high numbers.
And because in liar's dice, a set 3 wands beats 2 6s in liar's dice. So having a really appalling dice roll in your liar's dice cup is actually a very, very powerful dice roll for liar's dice. And because when you win the liar's dice round, you have the opportunity to tweak the numbers. It's a way of protecting you or making things advantageous with a bad dice roll, which to a degree. So I think that's a fun little extra thing. So I've been going through the process of like approaching a miniatures tabletop game design with a product design hat on, which is interesting to me because I've done that obviously a lot of times with my non-miniatures game designs because I kickstart things. There'll probably be a Kickstarter on Kickstarter at the moment when this video goes live, actually. Check it out. Yes, there might be a link in the comment section to it. So I've come to the thing of going, okay, as you're designing your game, be aware of like product design concerns for non-miniatures games designs. With miniatures games designs, I've been for a long time a lot freer and just sort of, this is amusing me. I'll pitch it to other people. I think they should think I'm a genius and see my brilliance, but if they don't, stuff them. And I can put some things up online because the great thing about miniatures, tabletop miniatures games is they can just be PDFs, and so I can put things up online for free. And who cares whether they're particularly attractive as product lines? And the reason I picked of all my designs Pitch and Yaw is because you need like 9 cool pirate models to play the game. I'm assuming you're going to need like some boxes and yard arms and stuff that move around as well. So yes, you'll need some sort of crates. I mean, barrels. You can represent various things. One of the things about crates and barrels is that they're potentially relatively easy to 3D print. And so now it's the thing of going through figuring out. One of the things that's been interesting from a game design perspective for me is that when designing the force lists, it's more important to me which miniatures I can source for the potential Kickstarter campaign, because I can write any force list. That's not hard, and I can make any force list interesting. What I can't necessarily do is source a whole bunch of 3D sculpts at a reasonable price. So life is a lot easier if I hunt out some pre-existing sculpts and get a merchant's license for doing those sculpts. So it's been sort of hunting around and thinking, okay, that makes a good, coherent, unique, interesting force visually on the tabletop. Now I'll go and write some rules that fit those models and those minutes.
It's a really interesting way round for the industry to allow us to operate at the moment. Like it feels quite new to be like able to go out and shop for that kind of thing as a creator of a game and be able to bring them back together, because from indie to bigger budgets, like the default for miniature games and for like video games as well, is like you create original assets as part of the design work. But here it's about assembling some external assets into a lovely coherent package.
Yeah, it's a
Which
very
is kind of what wargamers do anyway. Like I mean,
yeah, no,
particularly magpie gamers like me who like assembling figures from lots of ranges.
Yeah, it's a very, very, for me, it's a very interesting like idea and an interesting moment where right now I can pick up a bunch of 3D sculpts from all over the internet that aren't particularly well known or seen. I can get licenses to print them out and sell them. I can then have a 3D printing farm print them out, but on demand at a price per unit rather than an investment price. We've kicked around the idea of doing books together, and the price for printing softback books, and also interestingly, the price for printing softback books locally is at rather than in China or something like that, is competitive. And obviously Kickstarter's there. So a lot of the things for putting together a game with a miniatures range, with a physical product, are in the reach of totally independent designers at the moment. And more of those things are coming in reach more and more. I think
it's really interesting. It's really
I obviously think it's incredibly interesting. I'm curious because I've picked one of what I think is the most marketable idea of what, because one of the things I always say to anybody who kickstarts anything, and if you're thinking of kickstarting something, if you're a designer, the ideas should be relatively cheap. And there are some ideas that are more marketable than other ideas. And the best favor you can do for yourself is to pick the most marketable idea and then make it more marketable. And that is not selling out or anything like that. It's entirely justifiable to go, you know what? I like non-combative miniatures games. I've got a ton of miniatures. I've got a PG Woodhouse miniatures game design that I've written. I'm also not insane. So I'm not, as my first Kickstarter project, going to put up a PG Woodhouse miniatures game. Now, I might be wrong about that. There might be an incredible untapped market for it. And when I get to my second or third miniatures game Kickstarter, I'll be delighted for that to be the game. But the first one is going to be about pirates smashing each other in the face, on a wildly swinging ship, because that's just doing myself favors. I can write an interesting one of those and I can write an interesting one of the others. I might as well write the one that's both interesting and easier to sort of pitch to the world.
Yep.
So that's that's Pitch and Yaw. Something that I wrote was reflectively horribly complicated, in all honesty, on its first iteration. I've come back to it, stripped it down, made it faster, quicker, I think more fun, gone back to the things that the game was meant to be about, and made those what the game is about instead of something else, and something that is, I think, fairly sellable to the world at large. And I'm thinking at the moment sort of 2023 mid to late year Kickstarter for it should be well achievable at this moment.
Nice. He's committed.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing at least one Kickstarter next year, possibly two, maybe three at this point. So it's fun.
An addict.
It's it's fun doing Kickstarters. So if you are interested in a pirate-based dynamic environment, asymmetrical, highly asymmetrical game, check out the comment section below, because there's going to be one in a beta test version. In reference to the availability of things for independent designers,
Yeah.
AI art programs. If you are an independent designer and you are like looking to put things on whatever Wargame Vault or Itch or things like that and put them out into the world, and you're struggling to make them look good, goodness me, AI art programs at the moment are obscene in what they can do.
I mean, I've had a go, and I find the outcomes to be extremely weird and not to my taste. But I also know how much full color illustrations cost, and those are not those are a huge part, like by far the biggest cost in any of the small projects I've done.
And I know that, I assume you've taken a look at Midjourney. And I know everyone's a fan of Midjourney at the moment. If you get the opportunity to check out the DALL-E beta, because the thing that's super cool about DALL-E is you generate the image and then you're allowed to scrub out any bits that are weird looking and ask it to regenerate the gaps. So a lot of the time what happens with your AI generated images is the face goes weird. With DALL-E, you can just scrub out the face and tell it to have another go, and you usually get it. So it's a way more efficient AI art generation program. Anyway, so if you want to take a look at...
This was an excitingly meandering conversation. I enjoyed it.
It went a little bit wide at certain points, and I apologize for that. But anyway, if you would like to check out a pirate miniatures game with some AI generated art in it, that's in a beta test version, there's some really nice pictures that have come out of it. It's in a beta test version. I would like to give your opinions about it. Please do check out the comment section, because there's going to be one in there. While you're down there, please like and subscribe and say nice things about my game, and say nice things about us, and say nice things about what sort of game you would like to see coming out from an independent designer within the next 24 months, because then I can write it, and that can be the Kickstarter of 2024. But I think for now, and from us and from this episode of Rule of Carnage, it's probably going to be thank you and goodbye. So I'm going to say thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.